Okay. Hi, I'm Suruchi Wagh. I'm one of the parents of DLRC. I'm also one of the co-founders of a company called Jombay.
Hi, my name is Mohit Gundecha. Suruchi and I are parents to Kabir, who is in P2 at DLRC. We are also founders of Jombay. We are here to talk about an important topic that many of you might be facing. What's the right age for grade 1? And Suruchi and I thought we would share our experience of having Kabir enrolled when he completed 7 in grade 1.
So yeah. I remember when Kabir was close to turning 6. He's a September child. We did come to DLRC, to meet Pawan and see if he could get into grade 1 earlier, as compared to what he recommends. And I remember Kabir attending the school for a day and going through the whole drill. And Pawan thought he could manage the academics pretty well, but he still recommended that he stay kind of away from grade 1 for another year, and we did that. At that point, of course, we thought maybe he could have started early, but we kind of went along with Pawan's recommendation, and Kabir only started grade 1 when he was very close to turning 7, being a September child. And through that, what we realized that the benefits of starting much a year later came through only when Kabir went through the whole grade 1, and even now when he is in grade 2. I remember, at certain points through the year and even now, we realize that some of the things that he goes through now, if they would have been a year earlier, probably it would have been a struggle. We personally feel that Kabir now, or when he was in grade 1, came out to be much more confident by himself, comfortable in his skin, being able to conduct himself, by himself without having any of us around. When we started grade 1, when it was much closer to 7, there was a difference between a 5.5-year-old and a 6.5-year-old, clearly. He was much more confident about himself. He was much more comfortable in his own skin. That made him a happy and confident child to be by himself with his fellow students and his facilitators. The second thing that we noticed was he could much better understand what he was feeling, what he was thinking. That kind of had an impact on how clearly or better he could communicate with his friends at school or even the facilitators, giving him the advantage to be able to break a lot of facades. When you start off in a bigger environment, in a newer setup. Even now, when he's in grade 2, and even at several points when he was doing grade 1, at certain points I remember Mohit and I speaking about that if we had to go through this a year earlier, probably we would have a struggling Kabir versus a happier Kabir. So, what would you like to add?
Yeah, so confidence, as Suruchi said, confidence, clarity, communication, comfort, care. Those 6 to 9 months make a lot of difference in the maturity of a child. And from my personal experience, I was the youngest child in my class, and always there was a catching up. While I did reasonably well, and then I eventually made it, but it was a bit of a struggle. And in hindsight, if I were to redo this, I would have preferred being not the youngest in the class, perhaps one of the older kids, because those 6-9 months make a lot of difference then. And if you look from a long-term standpoint, the life that we have, these few months are not going to make that much of a difference. But if you have a confident, more comfortable in the skin child, it would go a long way in the child's benefit versus trying to save those few months now. So that's what we would strongly recommend. Give your child some bit of time, trust them to be closer to 7 versus closer to 5 or closer to 6 is what our recommendation would be.
Yeah, I mean, I would anyway trade off a year of a lifetime versus a happier first grader. We all need happier first graders.
Yeah, and many of us may not remember, but there is a fair bit of involvement required if your child is really young at first grade.
Oh yeah.
So you rather have a more independent, self-sufficient kid. Of course, you still need some bit of involvement, but you really don't want to have those frustrations trying to. You and your child both coping up.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Kabir through the first entire grade. It's been online, and there is minimal involvement. There's hardly that we know, that's what's happening until he comes up and really tells us. He's absolutely fine, with the technology, with starting off school, with taking notes, with taking homework, kind of, working through the activities. Sometimes we aren't even aware when his assessments are, when are his homeworks due. He's absolutely comfortable taking care of each of those activities. A new subject, Hindi, got introduced, and he did well. He did good for a new subject without getting too pressurized about how he was going to perform. Given the fact that he is a competitive child, so yet being competitive, yet being happy is something that we've enjoyed having our son go through, and that's what makes childhood beautiful. Some of us remember having really tough and scary first few years at school for whatsoever reasons. Maybe the over discipline that was there. I went to a convent, but I'm really happy that Kabir started off a year later. Our second child will also start off a year later, and I would highly recommend that to every parent.
In fact, it's at the right time.
Yeah, in fact, I don't think it is later. I think it's the right time.
He's going to do 10th standard at age of 17 and 12th standard at the age of 19. So, what do you think about that?
Look, the education system is fast evolving. At this point, how the 12th grade is going to be, how the 10th grade will, even 12th and graduate studies exist, you and I don't know. I mean, this pandemic has changed the education system for good, and you only see rapid disruption to that. Instead of worrying about what age they would be when they complete 10th and 12th, you should worry about how well did they do those 10 years, and how well did they do those 12 years, and what did they learn, and are they ready to take on the challenges that graduate and postgraduate studies will have for them. Those few months here or there right now feel a lot, but imagine a confident, successful child versus an underconfident, coping up child at 10th or 12th grade. What would you want more? And I'm sure we all want our children to be confident, composed, and successful.
Yeah, I agree. Quite frankly, I never thought of it that way. Oh my God, my child is going to finish 10th at whatever, 16, 17, whatever that is.
Yeah, I mean, it goes to the end and you would say, then marriage at what age? 22, 24, 26, 30? What's the right age? There's no right age.
I think it's good to plan a little bit, but 10 years is too long. 10 years is really long. I think I would care what my children go through today, this week, this month, this year. That's all probably. Who knows? Next year there will be, I don't know, hopefully not another pandemic, but so I would just focus on that. I really did not think that, what age Kabir would be when he finishes 10th. So I don't think that's a question to get bothered with.
How is this online journey been like?
See, it's honestly, DLRC is adopted digital. Like I remember Pawan, first early pandemic, I was meeting the co-founders, including Pawan, and he said, "Hey, how are you guys coping up?" He said, "Look, this is the future of learning. We need to embrace it. Right? The future is here. If we can't teach our kids to learn online, eventually they are going to learn through these mediums." But I think these guys are anyway quite comfortable with technology. The DLRC team is in a lot of ways a digital first team. They understand different tools, segments quite well. So the curriculum was very quickly adopted. The teachers were trained significantly to adopt to this medium. So from day one, I would give them 10 on 10 on the way they have handled and embraced the online medium, the assignments, the way the facilitators kept everybody engaged, the daily learning plans, weekly learning plans.
I think they've got a good balance of having good breaks between classes, having a good mix of classes on a particular day. Lot of things to do. People may think that because it's online, the whole value proposition of DLRC primary was to work with hands. I don't see that going away. I really don't. We did not see that going away. There is a lot that Kabir did, and our cupboards are full with so many things that he's worked with his hands. So they had a beautiful balance between being able to teach language, being able to teach math, being able to teach science, and yet have a theme run through all the subjects on an online medium with a lot of activities to be done by hands. Thank you.